Okay, so you want to own a Pilates studio, a bright, quiet room with tall windows, a row of reformers lined up like grand pianos, soft light, softer music, and a wait list of clients who pay $40 an hour to be told to breathe. You picture the calm of it, the community of it, regulars who turn into friends, a business that runs on wellness instead of stress, with no inventory to spoil and nothing to ship, just bodies in a room and money in the account. That's the picture. Here's what the picture leaves out: the lease you signed for 10 years before you taught a single class, the 8 reformers you bought on a credit line that starts charging you whether or not anyone books, the instructor you pay whether 4 people show up or 40, and the quiet arithmetic that says a room this beautiful can only ever hold 12 people at once. There is a hard ceiling on every dollar you will ever earn, and that ceiling was poured into the floor plan the day you signed. Pilates is one of the most misunderstood businesses in the entire wellness economy. From the outside, it looks like calm. From the inside, it is a capacity problem in leggings. Some studios genuinely mint money. Some quietly bleed their owners for years while looking completely full on Instagram. And a surprising number close in year 3, right about the time the founder finally understands the numbers. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which kind you're likely to build, and why. Before we talk money, we have to define what a Pilates studio actually is, because that one word hides at least 4 completely different businesses. There's the classical mat studio, low overhead, low ceiling, essentially a rented room and a stack of mats. There's the boutique reformer studio, the one you're picturing, 10 to 15 machines, premium pricing, heavy build-out. There's the franchise, the Club Pilates model, a system you buy into where the branding, the layout, and the class format are handed to you for a fee. And there's the hybrid, the studio that quietly makes most of its money not from classes at all, but from certifying the next generation of instructors. These share a name and some equipment. Financially, they have almost nothing in common. This is going to focus on the boutique reformer studio, the one most people dream about, and the one with the most ways to go wrong. Let's start with getting in the door. The single most expensive thing about a Pilates studio isn't rent. It's the machines. A commercial-grade reformer, the sled and spring apparatus at the heart of the whole operation, runs somewhere between $2,000 and $6,000 each. And a serious boutique studio wants 10 to 12 of them. That's $20,000 to $60,000 in equipment before you add the towers, the chairs, the barrels, the mats, and the props. And reformers are not a buy-once cost. Springs fatigue, ropes fray, carriages wear. Every machine is a maintenance line item that shows up forever. Now add the room around them. A boutique studio needs 800 to 1,500 square feet of well-located retail space. And well-located is the whole point. Nobody drives across town for Pilates. That's a lease of $4,000 to $12,000 a month in most decent markets, and the landlord wants a personal guarantee and a 5 to 10 year term. Then the build-out. Sprung flooring so clients don't wreck their joints. Mirrors, a sound system, changing rooms, a front desk, climate control that can handle a room full of people breathing hard. A proper boutique build-out runs $80,000 to $250,000 before a single class is booked. Add liability insurance, a business license, and the founder's own certification, which itself costs thousands and months. All in, opening the doors on a real reformer studio is $150,000 to $400,000. And every cent of it is spent before you've earned a dollar. You've signed the lease. You've bought the machines. You think you own a Pilates business. What you actually own is a beautiful room with a fixed number of seats and a bill due on the first of every month. Here's the structural problem at the heart of the entire model, and it's the one thing that separates people who understand this business from people who get blindsided by it. Your costs are fixed. Your revenue is capped. The rent is the same in January as it is in June. The instructor gets paid the same for a class of 3 as a class of 12. But your revenue can never exceed the number of bodies you can fit on machines, multiplied by the number of hours in a day. A 12 reformer studio running a 50-minute class physically cannot serve more than 12 clients an hour. There is no scaling that room. You cannot stack a second layer of clients on top. The ceiling is the ceiling. So the entire economics of a Pilates studio come down to one word nobody puts on the brochure: utilization. How full are your classes, on average, across every hour you're open? Because a studio isn't paid for the seats it has, it's paid for the seats it fills. Let's run it. Say your studio runs 30 classes a week, 12 spots each. That's a theoretical maximum of 360 client visits a week. At an average of $25 a visit, because most people buy discounted class packs and memberships, not full-price drop-ins. A completely full studio grosses about $9,000 a week. Call it $380,000 a year. That's the dream number. Now here's reality. Most boutique studios run at 40 to 60% utilization. Those beautiful mid-morning classes are half empty because the people paying premium prices are at work. Suddenly your $380,000 is $200,000, and it arrived on the exact same fixed cost base. Against that, the bills. Rent, $60,000 to $120,000 a year. Instructors are the big one. Good teachers cost $25 to $60 a class, and a busy studio runs hundreds of classes a month. So payroll alone can run $80,000 to $140,000 a year. Add front desk staff, software, card processing, cleaning, laundry, insurance, utilities, marketing, and machine maintenance. The all-in operating cost of a real boutique studio lands around $200,000 to $280,000 a year. Put that next to a realistic $200,000 top line, and you see the trap. In an average year, on average utilization, a boutique Pilates studio makes almost nothing. Sometimes less than nothing. This is the dirty secret the wellness aesthetic works very hard to hide. The classes, by themselves, barely pay for the room. So how does anyone make money? The same way the smart operators in every thin margin business do. They build a second business inside the first one. The first extra layer is memberships instead of drop-ins. A client who pays $200 a month whether they show up or not converts your unpredictable revenue into something a bank will actually lend against. Empty seats from no-show members are pure profit. The second layer is private and semi-private sessions, where one instructor charges $80 to $150 for one or two clients. Far higher revenue per hour than a group class. The third layer is retail. Grip socks, apparel, the little branded things people buy at the front desk on their way out. Thin, but it stacks. And then there's the layer that quietly runs the whole industry: teacher training. A studio that becomes a certifying school charges aspiring instructors $3,000 to $6,000 each for a training program. Run 2 cohorts of 10 a year, and that's $60,000 to $120,000 in high-margin revenue. Delivered in the empty midday hours when the studio was sitting half full anyway. Many of the most profitable studios in the country make more from training instructors than from teaching clients. The classes are the marketing. The certification is the business. Now here's where it gets dangerous, because the revenue is a lot less stable than the room is pretty. Boutique fitness runs on novelty and discretionary income, and both of those vanish in a downturn. When money gets tight, a $200 membership is one of the first things a household cancels. The industry also learned a brutal lesson from the aggregator apps, the ClassPass model, that fill your empty seats but pay you a fraction of your own rate. Quietly training your best clients to never pay full price again. You look busy, you're just busy at a discount. And then there's the shock nobody underwrites for. In early 2020, every studio in the world with high fixed costs and in-person only revenue got the worst possible news at the same time. The doors closed, the rent didn't. The reformer loan payments didn't. Membership revenue went to zero overnight while the lease kept its full grip. Thousands of independent studios never reopened, not because Pilates stopped being popular, it got more popular, but because the fixed cost, capacity-capped model has almost no cushion when the room goes empty. The studios that survived were the ones that had already built a second revenue stream that didn't need the room. Online classes, at-home programming, training cohorts run over video. So who actually gets rich here? Look at where the real money sits, and it's almost never the single independent studio. It's the franchise. Club Pilates and the models like it figured out that the wealth isn't in running one beautiful room. It's in selling the system to hundreds of owners, who each take on the lease, the build-out, and the risk, while the parent company collects a franchise fee and a slice of revenue off every location. They're not in the Pilates business. They're in the business of selling the Pilates business. It's the same move as every franchise empire. Let 1,000 founders sign the personal guarantees and take a royalty off all of them. Let's put honest numbers on a single independent studio. The good year, you're in a strong market, word of mouth is working, and you hit 65% utilization with a healthy membership base and 2 training cohorts. Class and membership revenue lands around $240,000. Training adds 100. Retail and privates add 40. Call it $380,000 top line. Operating costs run $260. You clear roughly $120,000. A genuinely good living for an owner who also teaches. The bad year, a competitor opens 6 blocks away, a discount app eats your drop-in traffic, and utilization sags to 40%. Revenue falls to $190,000. But your rent didn't move. Your instructors still get paid per class. Your machines still need servicing. Costs hold at $240. You lose $50,000 and you cannot cut your way out because the fixed costs are the business. The gap between those 2 years is $170,000 on the same room, driven almost entirely by utilization and competition. 2 things that are largely out of your hands. So can a Pilates studio make you rich? Yes, it can, but probably not the way you imagined. Not from the calm room and the $40 class, and not on the timeline you had in mind when you pictured that waitlist. The single studio that wins is the one that stops thinking of itself as a room full of machines and starts thinking of itself as a brand that happens to have a room. One that sells memberships, certifies teachers, and builds something that keeps earning even when the reformers sit still. The romance of the studio is real. The economics of the studio are a capacity problem. The people who thrive here are the ones who hold both of those truths at once and build accordingly.